Right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Waharakak Wadash. And I'm gonna get right into it. I'm gonna bring out a bit of history and about the Tel Dan stele. And it's a basalt rock with Hebrew inscriptions, as you can see here, the Paleo Hebrew. Okay, so I'm gonna get into the history on this and speak more about this rock. So let's get right into it. The Tel Dan stele is a fragmentary stele containing a Canaanite inscription discovered in 1993 in Tel Dan by Gilla Cook, a member of an archaeological team led by Avraham Byron. The pieces, he's an Edomite, by the way. I looked him up already. Was an Israeli archaeologist. What's his views? Views and opinions. Byron's opinion that Dan, ancient city, Abel, Beth Ma'akah, and the surrounding area were occupied by Israelites in the reigns of Kings David and Solomon appears to have been confirmed. Okay, so let's read on more. The pieces having been used, matter of fact, let me see something. Hold on. Oh, oops. Brian explained his own view of the importance of archaeology, particularly for Jews in modern-day Israel. Israeli archaeology is important to enable us to understand the nations who lived here from prehistoric times onwards. Since the stories of the Bible are connected to the specific land, every archaeological discovery in Israel has significance for understanding the Bible. We wish to identify and recognize the places we heard of growing up studying the Bible in school. He says, our Israeli archaeology is important to enable us to understand the nations who lived here from prehistoric times onwards. He's not going to tell you the so-called Negroes before we're called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. He's not going to tell you we are those people that were living in that land, in those lands. They're not going to tell you that. So, you know, Esau Edom is a damn devil anyway. They seek, like the scriptures say, they seek deep to hide their counsel. Anyway, the Tel Dan stele is a excuse me, dang, is a fragmentary stele containing a Canaanite inscription discovered in 1993 in Tel Dan by Gilla Cook, a member of an archaeological team led by Avraham Byron. The pieces having been used to construct an ancient stone wall that survived into modern times. The stele is in several pieces and contains several lines of Aramaic closely related to Hebrew and historically a common language among Jews. So he says Aramaic closely related to Hebrew. Now, when you look at this, it is Hebrew. What is he talking about? Aramaic closely related to Hebrew. He must be talking about Old Aramaic, okay, which our forefathers around Syria, Laban, okay, Haran, Abraham even spoke this language, what you see here on the screen. And that right there says Bayath Dawadah, where it's highlighted, or where it got the, you know, the white, but it says Bayath Dawadah. You can clearly see the Ba, you know, the Tha, the Das, the, you know, etc. Guys, the laws, so it's crazy because these fake Jews aren't speaking that language. So what is it talking about? Israeli and the people of Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 9. For then will I turn to the people a pure language. Now the Most High said he's going to turn to the people a pure language. First of all, you have to identify what people is he speaking about. The people that identify with the Bible, the people that identify with the curses and the characteristics that are written in the Bible. And that's you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. A pure language. What language is that? The Lashwan Kodash. Do you hear those gutter rats calling upon Yahweh and Yahweh Shai in Israel? Absolutely not. You got to question yourself. Why they still calling themselves Israeli? We're not Israeli. Otherwise, they would have been calling themselves as Israelites. They call themselves Israeli or Jewish, which means to pertain to. So you got to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Who can these people be that are going to speak the pure language, the Lashon Kodash, Paleo Hebrew? Not Jesus Christ, not calling him Yeshua like those gutter rats do. Come on, you got to put it together, put the pieces together. For then will I turn to the people, and the Most High has turned to us. You know, the Most High has turned to us, and this is our language. As a matter of fact, let's grab another precept to back that up. I know I ain't even finished that one first, but let's grab a precept to back that up. Let's go to Baruch chapter 2, and let's start at like verse, I believe, 30. Baruch chapter 2, and let's start at like verse 30. Yeah. For I knew that they would not hear me, speaking about the Israelites, because it is a stiff-necked people, and our people are very stubborn, hard-headed, stiff-necked people. In the land of their captivities, the white man, the so-called white man, is not in captivity. He's in rulership now. So that cuts that. That cuts them. We are in captivity. We are in these ghettos, these barrios, these reservations, these favelas. But in the land of their captivities, plural, because the Israelites been in captivity underneath every nation on this earth, they shall remember themselves. So in the land of our captivity, we shall remember ourselves. What's that? Okay, calling upon the names of the Lord, remembering that we're Israelites, identifying with the curses. Now we know, putting away that Jesus Christ, putting away that Caesarea Borgia, putting away that Islam, putting away those philosophies, those religions, and those idols. Right? We have remembered ourselves, and shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I will give them in heart and ears to hear, right? Heart, right? A mind and ears to hear what? The prophecies. Okay? The doom and gloom of America soon to come. And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name. Who are the only ones thinking upon the Heavenly Father and Yahweh's name? That's the elect. Sakari ain't doing that. These other Israelite camps don't even, a lot of Israelite camps don't even say Yahweh Shai. They still using Christ as a title, and they're using Jesus as a name, which we know that's not biblical. There's no letter J's, E, U's, O's, V's in the Hebrew. So why you fake Jews or you gutter ass calling on Yeshua? You got to explain yourself. What are you calling on Yeshua for? That ain't a pure language. That's a bastard language. That's Yiddish. They should know what Yiddish is. They done stole everybody's identity. They should know what Yiddish is. So we're calling upon the name of the Lord, right? And verse 33, and return from their stiff neck. And that's talking about the elect that are returning, not the 2/3. And from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers which sinned before the Lord. And that word for returns is shawab in the Hebrew. Right? Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 9. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. Who are the only ones calling upon the name of the Lord? In order for us to remember ourselves, it can't be in the kingdom. It has to be now, because the Lord woke us back up. That's prophecy. You go into 2 Peter's, I believe the 3rd chapter, start from like verse 1, right? Jude, contend for the faith that was once in you. I believe that's there as well. So what? Because the Most High woke us back up. Now we know who we are. We have our identity back. So, for then will I turn to the people a pure language, and they may all call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. So now, and you don't see those fake Jews calling upon the Lord. So, this is the Lashon Kodash Paleo Hebrew. And once again, it says Bayath Dawadah, which is house of David. It means house of David. Okay, anyway, let's continue reading on here. I'm going to close this video up. And I'm going to wrap this video up. The stele is in several pieces and contains several lines of Aramaic closely related to Hebrew and historically a common language among Jews. And the Israelites, when we were back in our homeland before we fled into the west coast of Africa, this is the language we spoke. This is the language we spoke. We knew how to speak this fluently. It wasn't no stuttering. It wasn't no having a hard time trying to pronounce. No, it was just there. You know, I mean, for the most part, our people, not unless you were diseased or handicapped or something like that, for the most part, our people were speaking it purely. Yahweh Shai spoke the Paleo Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash. Paul even heard Yahweh Shai speak to him in the Lashon Kodash, the Hebrew tongue. But it says here, the surviving inscription, which dates to 9th century BC, details that an individual killed Jehoram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, and the king of the house of David. Right, and this makes perfect sense because King David came 1000 BC, 1000 something BC. He started reigning to like 970. Then his son Solomon took root as a ruler. So, and he was a dark-skinned man, by the way. Solomon was a dark-skinned man. King David was a man that had pigmentation. Okay, these writings corroborate passages from the Bible, as the second book of Kings mentions that Jehoram, also Joram, is the son of an Israelite king Ahab by his Phoenician wife Jezebel. Yeah, Jezebel, which you would call a modern-day African. And the Phoenicians or the Africans, once upon a time, before they even started being called Africans, they spoke the Lashon Kodash and they lived in Jerusalem or the land of Canaan before we got there. Right? Jezebel was a dark-skinned woman too. She was a witch. So whether you dark-skinned or not, the point is that bitch was a wicked ass hoe. You know, that's what she was. Anyway, applying a biblical viewpoint, she was an African, applying a Hamite, applying a biblical viewpoint to the inscription, the likely candidate for having erected a stele is Hazael, an Aramaean king, whose language would have thus been Aramaic, who is mentioned in second book of Kings as having conquered the land of Israel, right, the Syrian king. Though he was unable to take Jerusalem, the stele is currently on display at the Israel Museum and is known as KAI 310, right? So it's crazy because even though the stele is in an Israeli museum, we'll call it Israeli museum, these devils don't speak this language. You don't hear them. Every time they come up to the Israelites, when we out there on the streets, they just with their mouth shut. They walk by us on some shook shit. They put their heads down. Like, cause you're not the Israelites. The Most High gave you devils a head start, so to speak. Got a head start. And the Most High's playing around with you devils. Even now, at the present moment, he's playing around with you devils. Right? You ain't gonna do away with the Israelites, nigga. You ain't. Fuck David Guzik. Fuck Vocab Malone. Fuck a lot of these Israelite camps out there. We coming at you too. Niggas all about fun and glory. The women. The children, everybody's about fun and games in the society. Well, guess what, man? The fun and games about to end. All right, for you rappers too, man. Them death angels gonna come at you rappers and keep on playing. Keep on playing. Them death angels gonna come at you, niggas. Shalom.